Well, hello, Methuen. Here's your long-lost mayor, shall I say that? And I want to start with a slide that says, I'm back, baby. So if we could flash that first slide. So we're back to doing mayor's minutes. Yes, it's me, I'm back. And, nobody else, I'm here. And I'm here with our fabulous new Human Resource Director today, Gina LaGreca. We're going to talk to her a little later on. I wanted to start the show, though, by talking a couple things that have happened in the community recently. Really sad things. First and foremost, Alyssa Flewitt, the daughter of our Assistant Fire Chief Mike Flewitt, and his wife Diane, passed away tragically in an accident. And I want you to know that our hearts and the hearts of everybody in the Methuen community go out to them for the tragic loss. And we're with them every day. Michael and Diane, I think of you every single night before I go to bed. And City of Methuen loves you and everything you do for us. And so count us to be here when you need us. Anything you need, just reach out. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Is a straight line there. There you go. It looks better. And the other individual we lost, there's two other. Devin Melia, I think most people know, we lost probably a couple months earlier. Also tragic. And so our hearts go out to the parents of Devin Melia. And, I believe they were in the same class as Alyssa Flewitt. So tragic loss. And I want to stop and say, if you are in need of help, in need of assistance, please feel free to reach out to us and we will get you the help you need. The city has an employee assistance program, but even if you're not an employee, we do have the means to kind of get individuals to kind of work with you from a counseling perspective. And then on a personal standpoint, I want to address this individual here who was a childhood friend of mine. His name is Ray Robel. And many of you may not know all the things that Ray Robel has done for the city of Methuen. He passed away earlier this week, and he is a loss to the community as well. And he was on the Board of Health for quite some time and a steadying influence and hand on the Board of Health, and always available to the mayor and to anybody else who needed him in times of distress. So Ray, God bless you, God bless your family. You will be missed. And someday we will have that big Auburn Street reunion up in heaven. I mentioned Auburn Street because that's the street Ray and I grew up on. Fabulous, caring individual who did so much for the community of Methuen. So starting my session back, and I apologize, with some acknowledgments of some untimely passings of people that we really love. Okay, then I wanted to move on if I could. So like I said, we do have our HR director, Gina LaGreca, on. She'll be on a little later in the program. But I wanted to talk about the mayor's health. And so hopefully, going back to doing the mayor's minutes, you can see that the mayor is with it. If you see me at, going into city council meetings or walking around City Hall or going down to Gina's office, you'll notice that I'm still walking with a walker. And I want to say kudos to our public health nurse who helped me get a space-age walker that lets me move a lot faster and keeps me from being quite as bent over. When you're tall, using a walker is very difficult because even on the highest height, it's kind of difficult. So I've got this newfangled contraption that Karen Ferrillo was able to track down for me that I'm borrowing. And it helps. And I am back in physical therapy, thank God. And I just want you to, with an election coming up, make objective evidence with your eyes on what you see here, right? I have not lost my faculties. I'm pleased to tell you that we will be announcing in the next week, and maybe you saw it on the city council, that the city of Methuen is in the black again for FY23, somewhere north of $4 million. We will be at the highest free cash in city history, and that speaks to not just the mayor, but the fine job of managing that all the department heads do in the city. And so my hat's off to them. But I do want to let you know that, You are free to ask questions about the mayor's health. I did have, over the course of the last 2 years, 2 health incidences. But let's be honest, health issues can happen to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I feel good. I feel strong. I'm in the office daily. And I'm meeting with my constituents. I'm getting out. I've restarted the mayor's minutes. I intend to go back to doing this weekly because the best part of this program is your questions. I just realized I didn't bring up the questions, so we're going to wade into that shortly. But, if you have doubts about the mayor's health, please, by all means, ask questions, and I'll answer them. So today, before we talk to Gina, I'm going to talk a little bit about, the new platform that the mayor's minutes is on, as well as some upcoming events, including some of my favorites that are coming up. I love the fall. I love October. And I hope all this rain isn't going to make, the fall blighted or something,
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed is right. So cider donuts and, pumpkin coffee and all that's, sign me up, right? So if we could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we've changed our medium from Facebook to YouTube. You can submit live questions on the Methuen Community Studios YouTube channel. And I've got to call that up because I didn't have the link up. That was silly of me, Gina. My first mistake coming back. But you can go on to YouTube and ask questions. And I believe you can ask them even when the show's not running so that we can answer them next time. And, I would just ask you to keep them respectful, right? I'm happy to answer any question. I'm happy to take criticism as long as it's submitted respectfully. So it's on YouTube, and do we have the link? Did we put the link in the slides someplace? No. So that's my first mistake of this broadcast season. I should have had the link in the slide. I'm going to look for the link. Okay, next slide. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about upcoming events while we're scrambling looking for the link to the YouTube. We've got a lot of good ones. So first and foremost, I'm getting out and around to meet with our constituents and see how things are going. So this Friday, September 15th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Nevins Library Garden Room, 305 Broadway. I will be there and happy to answer your questions or just have a general discussion with you, whatever you would like. I'll be there for 2 hours, and I hope if you've got questions that you want to ask that you come too. And I would note here that I never say the Nevins Library without saying best library in this state, right? And kudos to Krista and all the team at the Nevins Library. I just love the Nevins Library, right? If it was up to me, I'd probably have my office in the Nevins Library. So that way you wouldn't be able to find me, Gina. Okay? So Coffee with the Mayor, Friday, September 15th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Please feel free to join us. Next slide. Methuen Day, a big event, Gina.
It's a big one. I'm coming.
I don't know, have people told you about it?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It's in my calendar. Can't
Okay.
wait to attend.
Saturday, October 7th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the committee has been working hard. We haven't had a lot of good luck with our summertime music series, weather-wise, but who did have good luck weather-wise with summer, right? So some of those bands have been hired. There's going to be food trucks, there's going to be music, dance, food, fun, and much, much more. And that reminds me, we should have the slide in there, that this Friday also begins Hispanic Month, which is a big month in the city of Methuen. And we're going to have displays at the Great Hall. So kudos to Sandy Almonte.
Absolutely.
And she typically has at least 1 or 2 events down at Riverwalk Park where we've got dancing or food or anything. So more on that. But Methuen Day is Saturday, October 7th, downtown Methuen, Hampshire Street. We close it off. You get to walk around. Hopefully, with all the rain we've had this summer, it won't rain. But who knows? And even if it does, it's a come one, come all. Don't worry about the weather event, right?
I can't wait.
Y en español, es el sábado el 7 de octubre. El Centro de Methuen, Hampshire Street. So come on down, enjoy us, meet the mayor, meet plenty of people, right? And there's lovely things. I know Methuen Community Studios, which is a fabulous place. You know, I'm saying I'm getting so old that I forgot, you know, how great it is here. Because it's been, how long has it been since I've been on TV? Probably 6 months at least, right? So I'm thrilled to be back. So Methuen Day, Saturday, October 7th. Come on down and see us. We'll all be there. Next slide, please. Then one of my particular favorites, the Fall Festival. So people say, well, Mayor, why is you? I love to see the kids in their costumes.
Oh,
I am
that's
a
so
big,
fun.
I'm a big Halloween nerd.
I love
I
Halloween.
love Halloween, yeah. Well, it's hard not to like Halloween, right? And so we do this in Great Court Park, and there are costume contests, candy giveaways, games, and so much more. You know, the DJ playing live music all day. There's typically, you know, the mayor will be there giving away cider donuts for free, but there's also, you know, Ron Marsan typically gives away popcorn and water. There's hot dogs from the Exchange Club. There's lots of people pitching in to make it a truly great event from 12 to 3 p.m. on October 21st. And so I know I'm going to get bombarded with the question, so what day of the week is Halloween on? Do we know?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so let me look that up while I'm right
I
here.
didn't know the answer to my first question.
Yeah, well, so the bottom line is people are already starting to ask me, when will trick or treat be? And the answer
That's
is
important.
it's on Halloween unless it's Sunday night, right? And we may give consideration if it's Sunday night to move it one way or another, probably to the Saturday before. But I like to keep Halloween traditional, and hopefully you do too. And no matter what decision I make, some people will like it and some people won't like it. You know, Halloween is a great, great holiday, which many people participate in, not just, you know, I got October up now. I'm looking at October. So October 31st is a Tuesday. So I can now tell you that Halloween will be celebrated on Tuesday night because we don't want to move it. And it will be typically, as it has been in the past, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And hopefully by then, the rain has stopped. Otherwise, we'll have to all go out for Halloween as Gorton fishermen, right? So,
Very New England of us.
yeah. So Halloween, October 31st, 5:30 to 7:30. But a week and a half before, October 21st, we're going to have the Fall Festival, which is the Kids of the Contest, which is just spectacular. Yeah. So at Great Court Park, which is right up behind City Hall, Searles, and I am just every year I'm amazed at the costumes that people come up with. Right? Some of them are just. What was the one I saw last year? Was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, and this was no out-of-the-box costume. I was like, whoa, this is a great costume, right? Some people really put tons of effort into it.
I love to see that.
And we give awards away in different age categories.
I'm going to win.
So, you know, bring your kids, Gina.
I definitely
Come
will.
on down to the Great Court Park and participate in the Fall Festival. Next slide, please. Okay, so I wanted to touch on, there's lots of questions, thank you. There's, yeah, have I got the link? Oh. Huh? Just Methuen Community Studios? All right, so the mayor's a dope. For the viewers, all you have to do is find Methuen Community Studios on YouTube and use the live chat option on YouTube instead of comments to add questions. So use the live chat option instead of comments to add questions, and we'll check on that in a minute. So Gina, you will be mystified at that because I don't know, you know, the transition, we'll get that many questions today, but it's probably my favorite part of the show.
I'm excited.
Yeah, people ask questions. They'll ask you questions too.
Ask away.
So, and it's a good thing. Okay, so go back to that slide, please, if you will. So, ARPA, what I wanted to do, it's been quite a while since we've been on, and there's a great misunderstanding at times. We updated the council recently. So, just a reminder that City of Methuen got over 46 million in ARPA funding from state and federal. And just a reminder, we were originally scheduled to get only 19, and I pursued that vigorously. And the governor saw fit to give us an additional $27 million funding.
It's
So
amazing.
that was great.
Amazing.
Yeah, and what I really liked was the process by which City Council reviewed and decided which projects they were going to do. And so the viewers need to understand, we need to commit to all those projects by the end of FY24, and we need to execute them by the end of FY26.
Yes.
I think people, think we've got to spend it right away. And we've got a lot of ARPA projects in process, and I'm going to show you one. We've got the design going on multiple projects. So if you go to the next slide, there you go. So, you can see that out of the 46 million, we have already spent almost 11 million. That includes the school at Branch Street, which was a significant portion of it. But if you go over to the left-hand side, the obligated column, which counts as, I don't want to say completed, but underway, right? So it satisfies the criteria for being obligated by the end of FY24. There's an additional 4.6 million that's already done. Most of that is engineering on projects. Let me give you an example. The sewer inflow and infiltration migration, there's 1.5 million of the 2.5 million total spend that's already underway from an engineering and design perspective. On the Granite Street water pumping station refresh, 665,000 of the $6.2 million expected spend is underway. On the renovation of the MHS tennis courts, that's expected to cost 1.4 million. The design contract for that went before City Council last week for 149,500. And then there's others. I'm not going to read them all to you, but this is available on the city website. It goes to show, for example, the Arlington Neighborhood Combined Sewer Project, 1.2 million out of the 9.7 has already been spent, and that's great, right? We've replaced the roof on the Tenney School. We replaced the roof on the CGS, and I'm starting to mix, ARPA and CIP, Capital Improvement Project money, but, the Tenney's on the ARPA. So we had two schools that over the course of the summer, we replaced the roofs, and we redid the parking lots. Some of that was school money, some of that with ARPA money, some of that with capital improvement money, and we also, using ARPA money, procured 9 Branch Street, which was a $9 million upgrade for the schools. And we had a ribbon cutting last week with Congresswoman Trahan, and it was fabulous. That building is fabulous. It gives the schools much more use. I want to point out one, I just came from, and you can attest that this is not a lie, one of my favorite meetings of the city. The mayor has initiated a mental health task force. So our city is facing a crisis of mental health issues. And there's many aspects of it, homelessness, addictions, things of that nature. But what I wanted you to understand is we're not waiting for the state because I'm frustrated with the state. The state does not have a plan to address that. All right? The state keeps holding press conferences and talking about the crisis of homelessness, which is one aspect of mental health. But there has to be a plan at some point. So I am working with roughly, 20 some odd people, and we have started to hit the ground running. You're going to see certain things that we do, including, we had a company come in and make a presentation that works with the schools and how we could expand that to adults in our community. And I say confidently, not the meeting Monday night, but the next council meeting, the first meeting in October, you're going to see the mayor bring a contract to council that addresses, how do we expand that aperture so that it goes from not just the schools, but so that there's a conduit, if you will, a reference that's usable by fire department, police department, city employees, our health and human services employees, and by the way, we have the best in the state. How do we use that to address some of the issues that we're encountering? Because the frustration for me is, and I don't want to get too far down the path here, when you see the Days Inn and you hear all the discussion of the Days Inn, yes, it's completely stuffed. It's really, for all terms, a shelter. But you got to be careful because most of the people in it are not migrants. They're just homeless people who've been shuffled around, in most cases, multiple times by the state. And so there's got to be an answer for Methuen residents who are being outplaced. And, if you go back to that previous slide, you're going to see that there's $400,000 that council graciously agreed with me to provide to our most vulnerable population. We have provided $100,000 because the guidelines were a little bit tighter than we anticipated. And we're going to go back to council and we're going to ask to open that aperture a little wider so that we can help more people. And in case you didn't know, I'm going to say there's a food crisis in this community too. And if you don't believe the mayor, come sit in my office on a Tuesday night and watch the people line up for neighbors in need. And if that doesn't convince you there's a food crisis here, nothing will. All right, so ARPA 46, we are on our way to making sure that we spend all 46 million by the end of fiscal year 26, and we are well underway on that. And you probably saw there were some other contracts in the last city council meeting that were discussed, including a construction supervisor. And we wanted one conduit that, the people in a neighborhood or a business in a neighborhood could go to and have their questions answered about when's, the digging going to start? What's the impact be? Will customers be able to get to my business? How long is the work going to take in my section of the city, right? And those are all things that we're hiring a construction supervisor to address with ARPA funding. So that means when we're finished with ARPA, that construction supervisor would no longer be a position budgeted by the city. Okay, next chart. So now moving on, CIP is capital improvement plan. So I think, thank you. One of the things that we need to understand is we've got that $46 million in ARPA funding from the federal government. That's a bucket of money, if you will. And then there's the capital improvement plan. Now, the highlight of any fiscally sound business is the presence of a 5-year fiscal analysis and a 5-year capital improvement plan. And I'm proud to tell you that we have it in Methuen. And oh, by the way, I think I said at the beginning of the show, we are going to be in the black north of $4 million for FY23. So that's going to allow us to do more things to help the residents. That's the thing I'm very proud of. And it's most importantly, we spent from my perspective, we spent the first 4 years addressing what I call the foundational issue in the city of Methuen. And that was, our fiscal autonomy. And we were able to pay back that $4 million state bond in record time, in less than 3 years, and remove the state oversight. I know some people thought we should have kept the state oversight, but I think we're functioning to the point where there is accountability and there are checks, and you're included on that because the financial reports are posted on the website every month, and that includes city council, right? So I think we've rectified many of the issues. Now it's time to take the things that hard work has done for us, a 4-time improved bond rating, and better financial status. And I say this categorically to you. The CAFA would kill me if she heard me say this, but by my calculation, we would be just short of 18 to 19 million in free cash, which is an all-time record in the city of Methuen. And I am immensely proud of the department managers who work in this city and the work they've done over the last 4 years to get us there. Because when we came to office and we came to term, the city was $4 million in arrears. And so that's no small accomplishment. But to help you understand, the bond rating is extremely important because it allows the city to borrow at a much lower rate of interest. So I think most people, it's like getting a car with a 2% interest versus getting a car and have to pay an 8% interest rate, right? Obviously, it's cheaper if you pay only 2% interest, and that's really what we're talking about here. So if you look at the capital improvement projects, Methuen is, and I want to make sure you're comfortable with the decision we're making, Methuen is well within its debt ratio. In fact, we're still below the debt ratio, even with our FY24 debt added in, which the council graciously approved. And there it is right there. There's a piece of the FY24 capital improvement plan, and to show you what kind of things we're doing with that money. But I want you to remember this. It's always important to take care of your infrastructure. You cannot ignore it. And one of the things that had happened in the past in Methuen, that due to the relationships and the lack of accountability, we had police cars with patrol cars with 200,000 miles on them. And, you don't want people providing public safety. I will tell you that we've, in the last 2 fiscal years, we've provided 16 brand new patrol cars, and we have another 8 in FY24, which will be procured shortly. I have no doubts about that because Chief McNamara moves like the speed of lightning when he's spending for patrol vehicles. But you also see vehicles and some other things that we're trying to do. You see a fire engine replacement there, right? So that's coupled with some public safety stabilization that we're doing that's allowed us to, we've replaced already 2 fire engines and 2 ambulances. We have another ambulance on order. So we are taking the steps necessary to make sure that Methuen is well protected, right? And I don't want to just focus on the public safety part of it. If you go down to where the school starts, you see the MHS, where we're going to redo the tennis courts. You've got, necessary things that, may not be glamorous or sexy, Ford pickups to provide, transfer and plowing for the schools, for the city. Those are all in there, the DPW, field mowers for the DPW, and lots of field updates. So we had a meeting at City Hall, and I thought it was great with a number of folks who talked about, the condition of the fields, and I really appreciate their feedback. But you can see that we've got not only just the MHS tennis courts, I think we've got a picture in here, and it should be close behind this if I'm not wrong, of the Gill Avenue. So this is an actual picture of a capital improvement project in action. This is the Gill Avenue field, which will have a brand new full court basketball. It will have a dog park. It will have ADA accessibility. It's going to have a number of other things. And we are invested in spending, look at that action photo. If only we could make a move. We are invested in improving our fields. I never thought I'd see a day, though, when in late August, early September, the fields are still green. Look at that. They're doing the piping to make sure the drainage is proper. We're going to do these at Burnham Road. We're going to do these at Veterans Park. So we've got $500,000 set aside in FY24 capital to do the same thing we're doing here at the Gill Avenue for some of the other fields in the city. So we're going to go one by one, and I'm going to ask you, the residents, to think about what could our gift from the city be to the residents. And when I say that, we are coming up on our, I'm going to say it wrong, Gina, our tricentennial, which is 300 years. And what I would like to be as the gift of the city to the constituents is another field, because we can always use another field. And by the way, I probably should have said this, I'm prattling like a bird. We've got lighting at the, you like that prattling like a bird? I won't say the other thing that made you laugh because I can't say this.
It's a good mayorism.
Yeah. That's Gina.
Hi.
So we're looking at the lighting at the high school. We're going to do an additional 50 of the security cameras for public safety. So we're going to do some license plate recognition cameras as well. Excuse me. All things designed to provide improved public safety with with the patrol officers we have, and less of a cost to the taxpayers. And I won't go near that theater rail and talk about the trash program. That'll be a subject for another day. But we do see that that program is already putting almost $500,000 back in the city coffers. All right, so that's a great thing. And you, the residents, have done a great job adapting to it. So I want to give us a B+ on the new trash program. It's always hard to change. We're in phase 2, where we've got people going to the neighborhoods in the community and providing educational updates. And that will transition probably at the end of October, just before Halloween, to phase 3, which is stickers. But we'll dedicate a whole show to that so that everybody has the information and can, understand. As always, stay abreast of what's going on in the city by connecting to the citymethuen.net, a website. Our fabulous CIO does a marvelous job making sure that all the info that's needed is updated there. And now we have this YouTube channel. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and we've got Anomalous, my man. Very good to see you back up on Mayor's Minutes, Mayor Perry. Also glad that your family member's dog was found safe the other night. Now, Anomalous, I love to, and I don't know if I even got a chance to talk about this.
No.
So I had a doctor's appointment that I had to get to, and I asked my daughter to take me because even though I'm of sound faculties, I'm not driving yet. I've got a ways to go from PT. My goal is to get on a cane and drive, and I will get there, trust me. But my daughter is taking me to this doctor's appointment, and it's last Thursday night about 5:30. And she helps me to the car, and the dog is already in the car. Now, I want to explain that my daughter lost her dog after 15 years, 2 months ago, right? The dog passed. I got sick and passed, and it was a traumatic event. For those of you that have pets, you know what I'm talking about. It's losing a family member.
Absolutely.
So my daughter struggled greatly, and like any parent, you hate to see that. And then about a month ago, she found a shelter dog that was the spitting image of her dog. I mean, 2 rat terriers that if I showed you pictures, you couldn't tell them apart.
Oh my God.
And the dog that passed earlier, his name was Bucky. This dog's name is Henry. I call him O. Henry.
I love that.
Like the candy bar. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So as we're getting in the car, my daughter goes to put my newfangled high-tech walker in, and the dog gets spooked and gets up on the back of the back seat and is kind of crouched there. So my daughter, trying to get the dog down, opened the back lift.
Yeah.
And when she did, the dog shot out
No.
and shot up Hampstead Street.
my
If you know where I live in Methuen, you know how wooded it is, and took off like a bat out of hell.
Oh no.
And went up Hampstead Street, and she ran after him screaming, couldn't find him, saw where he had gone, general area he'd gone. I went to Facebook in the meantime and put a post out there and put a $200 reward on finding the dog. I want to tell you, this is a wonderful community we live in. Fabulous community. There were so many responses to that post. So many responses. People far more strangers. People I just say, not strangers, but people who I didn't know. Stopped their car and said, "Did you find the dog yet?" We said, "No." Getting dark, still haven't found the dog. 9 o'clock, still haven't found the dog. We're searching all kinds of areas around Raymond's Turkey Farm and Morgan Drive. And we've got we're really getting anxious and worried. And people we don't even know are taking their children after their dinner and going all over, our neighborhood is very spread out, very tree-filled. It's country. It's kind of what I like about it. And they continued all night looking for the dog. And I want to express my personal thanks to Councilor Mike Samard and his family, because they're the ones who found the dog. with his leash stuck to a tree, and he probably wouldn't have made it through the night. At 9:30 that night, Councilor Samard returned the dog to my daughter. Just, what a community, right? So, argue all we want, gripe all we want. This is a caring community. And Mike, I'm forever in your debt, bud, right? Because I didn't want to see my daughter go through it again. Okay, so anomalous, that was fabulous. Are there going to be any improvements? Teresa Wenger Heckle says, are there going to be any improvements to Methuen Forest Lake for next year? Yes, there has. Yes, there will. So we do have money in the capital improvement plan, Teresa, for not just the building itself, the bathroom itself, but the playground itself. So substantial, and we're going to supplement that with some of the budgetary money we put aside in recreation to make sure there's extra sand. I know I said Forest Lake is a hidden jewel. I don't know if you ever been there.
No, not yet.
It's fabulous.
I have to go.
Fabulous. Are there any more meetings? Are there any more meetings for the master plan you're talking, Teresa, that residents can attend? I believe there was one community event last year. There were multiple, but there will be more, Teresa. So we've got the consultants working on it, and they're due back for an update to City Council. Please, 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 please remember that you can participate in the City Council meeting even if you can't make it to Great Hall, right? You can watch it virtually. I attended virtually the other night. Poor Gina had to sit in my seat.
That was
sorry.
the hot seat.
I hope we can have a Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Absolutely. Bigger and better, right? So let me announce it's September 13th. The hunt is on for a Christmas tree. And as we do every year, bigger and better than last year, right? So last year's was fabulous. I know I use that word a lot. We want more fabulous, right? So help us find a tree. And what we'll do is send in your nominations to Steve Angelo in the rec department, and we will put them out there. We will have you vote on the winner. So the Christmas tree we put up will be your Christmas tree, just like it was last year. Great question, Teresa. Teresa, are you getting a nickel for every question you ask? Because I got another one. And you have a representative from Mass Save come on the show to talk about rebates, energy saving programs, plus the heat loan. Yeah, we're going to dedicate an entire program to that, Teresa, in October, because one of the things we talked about with the Mental Health Task Force is opening up the aperture on the money that City Council so graciously allowed me to put aside from ARPA. And that's important because in this day and age, there is no need for anybody in the city of Methuen to be going hungry. There's no need for anybody in the city of Methuen to be being displaced from their home or not to be able to pay their electric bills. And you should know that the mayor is chasing, you may not hear this all the time. So oftentimes it's good for me to go back to the show and hear, let you hear firsthand. I met with National Grid and Eversource last week, and I'm going to be right up front and say, I said, I don't want any of this BS from last year. There's no 66% improvements or I'm on the warpath. 66% increases in price, because that really, really killed a lot of our most vulnerable people, our seniors. Being able to pay rent or mortgage, heat, utilities like light, electricity, on Social Security income is not easy, right? So you will see me going back to City Council and asking for widening the aperture on that $300,000 a little bit more. There will be some people who will argue against it, and I believe in good debate as long as it's respectful, but I'm going to fight to increase it because we have the money and we can help our citizens. Anomalous said, I was local to the area Henry got loose in, and my dogs appeared alert, aware of something moving nearby, but I never saw if it was him in all the trees. So very glad that he got returned safe, as was I, right? So, like I said, forever indebted to Councilor Samard. And we'll talk in one of the upcoming shows about the election, and MCS is going to have a forum, a mayor's forum, and a council's forum coming up. And I would urge you, watch them and ask questions, right? I'm going to run on my accomplishments, quite simply. what I've been able to do in the last 4 years. And if the citizens are unhappy with it, so be it. If it's time for somebody new, so be it. You know, but I love this city, and I think I've proven that. And I'm going to continue to love this city, hopefully for 2 more years. Even if I didn't get elected, I'd love this city. So I respect my opponent. I look forward to meeting him and understanding his platform, and hopefully he can understand mine. And we can address issues respectfully between us rather than run any, these negative campaigns that happened the first time I ran or have happened in previous elections in the city. There's no place for them, right? I'm going to tell you point blank. You know, you may be sitting at home saying, you know, the Democrats don't like us or the Republicans don't. I don't think anybody in Washington is glued to what's going on, right? They've forgotten us, the little people, and that's my unedited political jive for the night. So I want to turn and introduce our fabulous new Human Resource Director, Gina LaGreca.
Thank you so much. Thank you
so-
for having me tonight.
Well, it's great to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Gina. I grew up in East Boston in Linfield. I went to St. Dominic Savio Preparatory High School. It was the last graduating class. It's no longer there. It's very devastating. And then I went to Northeastern and Suffolk University Law School after that. I started my career in the DA's office working for the Domestic Violence Unit, and then made a transition into municipal law where I started as an assistant city attorney for the city of Lawrence. I did work my way up to become the personnel director there, and now I've happily landed in Methuen, where I plan to extend a long career.
Yeah, so we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
And I think I told you, you did a fabulous job when we interviewed you.
Oh, thank you.
So there were
It was an intimidating process, but it made
was.
me really excited to be
Yeah.
here because it was so professional. So I
yeah,
really
I think
appreciate
we
that.
did a better job, you know, developing questions and posing, you know, hypotheticals.
Oh, it was
Now,
tough.
what would you do? Yeah.
It was tough. Chief McNamara asked me a really tough question.
Yeah.
But
The civil service one, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and I think I talked for about 15 minutes in response to it. So hopefully I didn't lose you all. But
Well,
it
you know,
was a
with our
great-
past, civil service is so important.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And you're lucky you have a great employee who works on that too
Yeah.
as well, Jill in my office.
Yeah. So Teresa just asked, Teresa, is there a cut rate for asking questions? Poor Teresa. She asked about 50. So are you going to have department heads on the show to discuss the programs and services of their departments? I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
And, you know, I wanted to ask Gina to be on first in my comeback show because we've taken a number of different steps in the Human Resource Forum.
Yes.
And I think, you know, I would hope you would agree with me that at the ebb of it all is human resources, right?
I believe so, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, human resources is so integral to the city. I'm happy to be a part of that department myself because I do get to work with every single other department in the city, you know, from DPW to the police to fire to the mayor's office
Yeah.
many times.
Yeah.
It's an important place to be.
Yeah, and I've noticed some subtle changes and some not so subtle changes when it comes to all the openings we have. You know, we've got lots
Yeah.
of job openings,
We do.
and
Please apply.
I'm tied to the city website, so I get emails now
Yes.
that say, you know, this position's open, right? So I want to kind of dispel the rumor that we only hire from within. That's not true.
It's not true.
That's
we
right.
Consider all applicants that are qualified for the position,
As we should.
as we should. And, you know, we're very fortunate. I've seen a number of qualified applicants for really every position that we've posted so far.
Yeah.
So I've been grateful to be a part of that, but please apply if you see something that you like. We do update the city website all the time. It is current, it's checked daily, it's
Yeah.
updated daily.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to have.
So
a
if somebody
good
sees a
candidate.
job that they're interested in, what should they do?
Call me. No, I'm just kidding. So
Yeah.
what they really should do is submit a resume and application online. I think that's the easiest and it's the fastest way to fast track your
Yeah.
resume. So there's instructions on the postings themselves, but online, I would say, is the fastest way to get your resume into our archives.
Now, we joke a little because we kind of stole you from the city of Lawrence.
Yes.
And we stole our fabulous CIO from the city of Lawrence.
Yeah.
So we've had good luck data mining there. I don't know if we have others to come, but you know, it's important for the people watching this program to understand that there is the opportunity. No job is given to somebody before it's posted, right?
It's 100% correct to say that truly every single qualified applicant has been considered in my experience here.
So what's the biggest difference you've noticed since you came to the city of Methuen? I'm going to put you, that's a tough question, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
That is a tough question, but I feel an extremely strong sense of community in the city of Methuen. So truthfully, when I interviewed for the position, and even when I came to Methuen initially, I didn't know the city very well.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have gone out of their way to welcome me, and it has been so nice. Everybody is so kind. I see acts of kindness among different employees all the time. I'm sure that, that's not always the case, but I've been fortunate enough to see that. I mean, there are people that I've met that instantly you can tell are the type of person that would give you the shirt off the back if you needed it. And I've been so grateful for that in my short time here, and I absolutely feel like I found a home. I love the family environment. I love how connected the city is with the constituents. I love this, open form of communication. I think it's really great, and I mean it when I say I am so happy to be in Methuen.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you because you're doing a great job, and I mean that sincerely. So, I don't know if another question came. Yeah. Other than that, your time. So you have a law degree.
I do.
And talk a little bit about that, if you could, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So when I went to law school, I never envisioned that I would be a litigator. I was more into the writing aspect. I actually liked stocks, which all my friends thought that was the most boring thing of all time. When I graduated, it was a really tough market at the time.
Yeah.
So I applied for the district attorney's office. I was fortunate enough to get a position in Essex County. I was standing in front of the judge on my first day, doing the exact thing that throughout my whole time in law school I never thought that I'd be doing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I have formed so many great relationships in my time in the Essex County District Attorney's Office. I genuinely credit pretty much every positive work quality that I have to my time in that office.
So it's got to follow that up and say. So follow that up a little bit by, what are the skills that you learned doing that job that you bring to the human resource director? Because I remember when we brought your nomination before City Council, one of the councilors, Councilor McCarty, asked a good question. He said, well, you went from litigator to HR director. Are you sitting there poised to go back? What's the plan from a career aspect? And I thought that was a pretty good question. But I think there's some skills that correspond.
Absolutely. It seems strange at first. It doesn't really seem like there'd be much correlation, but there truly, truly is. So one of the most important things I learned through my experience with the DA's office was how to think on my feet. In an ever-changing environment that, the judge is asking you questions that you may or may not have the answer to. You're responding to an evolving situation in real time. I do all of that in my current job as an HR professional. So, there are things in HR that rapidly evolve. There could be things that change from minute to minute in my environment. And I do think that my previous experience makes me well poised to handle things like that.
Yeah.
I also think, the whole problem-solving aspect, and, trying to do the right thing. There were times as a prosecutor, it's not all about putting people in jail. It's about trying to get justice. So if there is something, if there was a person that was falsely accused, or we felt that there was not enough evidence to proceed, we'd also make that decision that we would dismiss the case. I do investigations on behalf of the HR department into different aspects of misconduct that are alleged against different employees. And it's my goal to do the same thing, to have justice. Did the conduct happen? What does that mean in the end? Is it worthy of some kind of form of discipline, or is it not? Maybe it's just counseling. So really, upon a further look, you'll see there are so many things that overlap, and I'm grateful for that.
So what's the transition been like? I mean, I can imagine it's kind of tough for you to jump right in, right? It's like, there's all this stuff ongoing. And, probably in week one, you're getting hit with, things from the mayor and things from, the solicitor and things from the assistant solicitor.
Right. And again, there's that overlap because the first day in the DA's office, I'm in court. The first day that I was in Methuen, I think we met. We had a number of ongoing things.
Correct.
that needed to be addressed that were really time sensitive. But that's how I like to work. I am fine about that. I like to dive in head first. Trial by fire is totally fine with me. And I think actually the fact that we were so busy together when I first started working for Methuen kind of helped forge the relationship and helped me prove my capabilities as well. And hopefully allow you to have some faith in the HR department under my leadership.
Like I said, I think you did a great job. So what's your preferred method of communication?
On TV right now. No, I'm just kidding. So I think the easiest way to get me, if you're a member of the public that's trying to reach me, is via email, because I do often have different meetings, and I may be off site, but I do always have my city phone with me, which has my email on it. If you call me on my city phone, I absolutely will call you back, but I may not be able to answer the first time, just depending on what's going on in the day.
And I think people need to understand that. Oftentimes, so I remember early in my Raytheon career, being in a meeting and getting a phone call and answering it, and having the employee say to me, "That was the rudest thing I've ever seen," and it has never left me. So I will not answer the phone in the meeting unless I know it's a bona fide emergency, right?
Right.
So, and I say that candidly.
And of course, and truly, I will respond to you as soon as I'm able to, but email, I would say, is typically fastest.
Yeah. So I'm looking to see if there's more Henry questions. Poor Henry.
Henry
everybody
the
loves
dog.
Yeah, oh, Henry.
And also a little bit about me, I'm a huge dog lover, so please ask as many Henry questions as you can so I can hear more about
You have a dog?
I do have a dog. His name's Dino.
Dino?
Yes,
Dino
he's
the
my little
dinosaur?
Italian boy.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually more like a sausage. So he's half half German Shepherd, half Corgi.
Oh.
So he's like a shrunken German Shepherd. He is so weird looking.
Yeah.
I love him so much. I also have a cat named Harold. He's a terror.
Yeah.
My dog's a big love, but my cat is not.
Yeah.
He's his own.
And
his own
family?
breed. Yes. So I'm married to my husband. He is a Latino male. My kids are Italian like me. They're also part Dominican, part Puerto Rican. I have 2 young boys. They're aged 2 and 1.
Yeah.
So I wish that I spoke Spanish as fluently as you. I'm slowly learning. I'm so grateful. I have a mother-in-law who speaks to them often, so I'm hoping that they'll be bilingual.
Well, you have to get them up here to celebrate, Hispanic Heritage Month starts the 15th. So
I will.
And one of your employees, Sandy Almonte, usually does a fabulous job, doing events.
She's doing
Last year we
such
had
an
food
excellent
that I hadn't even had before. Right?
I revolve my life around food, so I'll be thrilled for
You
that.
and me both, yeah. So I plan to do several shows before the holiday just about food, so you may want to watch those.
I might be a guest star. I'll be the taste tester.
Oh yeah, this is a community rich in foods, right? From pub pies at Thwaites to Mann's to Lorelli's. There's tons of good places to eat, right?
I guess I'm going to have to go on a food tour of the city.
I usually start talking it, then I get hungry, and
That's me too.
it's over. So, husband and 2 children. And what does your husband do for a living?
My husband is a sergeant in the Lynn Police Department, so he is often quite busy.
Yeah.
I know they've been having a tough time of it lately over there in Lynn.
Yeah.
But he is such a hard worker. He is studying for the promotional exam right now. So I think that's another thing, just kind of my home life and what I see up close and personal helps me deal with some of the issues that the Methuen Police Department has. So, I've been in law enforcement, myself in the DA's office, married to a police officer. There's a lot of unique things that come up. So there's a little overlap there as well.
Yeah. Now, you worked with Chief McNamara before in Lawrence.
I did.
Right? So
yes.
how was that experience? Yeah.
One of the first things that I did as a personnel director for the city of Lawrence was assist Chief McNamara in obtaining his files to submit to Methuen, which I was very sad about. I just think the world of him. He's always been excellent. So I actually worked with him when I was in the DA's office, then in Lawrence, and now I'm fortunate enough to work with him here in Methuen as well. Yeah. So he's a wonderful person, definitely one of the hardest working people in the city. he really, really cares about the department, which is nice to see. And he's
does.
always the first to lend a helping hand. If I ever have an issue with something, if he knows anything about the topic, whether it's police related or not, he is so willing to help, and he's just a great asset to the
I saw that question that you and the other candidates for HR director, when you were interviewing, had to answer it from his, and I was like, ooh, I'm not sure I could answer that. Yeah. So
I was like, Chief, that was so hard.
Chief, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
I asked you most of the home life. So what do you like to do in your free time? Do you have free time?
I really don't.
Yeah.
So, at the risk of sounding like a sloth, I love to relax in my free time. I really don't get that much, so if I'm not at work, I'm home with my kids, but I do get a short, period of time at the end of the night when they're asleep.
30 minutes.
Exactly. I get to read my book, which I'm always reading. I'm such a bookworm. Every single night, that's what I do. That's my thing. I just love to spend time with my family. I do come from a big Italian family, so Sunday dinners are, something I look forward to every
Feel free to
single
invite
week.
the mayor anytime.
You are. Open invitation. But it has to be a judgment-free zone because, like
Judgment-free
most
zone.
families, mine can be loud, but they're the best.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah.
We revolve our life around food, as I said. We're a family that likes to eat. It's always a good time.
Well, I like to tell people if I hadn't been Irish, I would have been Italian.
I think you're an
'Cause I
honorary
love
Italian.
I love the food. Oh,
You can't. It's the best.
you can win me over with a meatball. All right, so we're coming up. We're about 3 minutes from the end of the program. What didn't I ask you? What would you like the audience to know, Methuen, about Gina LaGreca that I haven't asked you or you haven't said? Is there anything?
I want everybody to know that I'm very approachable, whether you're an employee of the city or not. If you have questions from the outsider, and please approach me. Please, like I said, send me an email because usually that is the easiest. I'd be happy to get back to you. I'm an open book. I do have a lot of insight to things. I'm fortunate enough for that because I have so many interactions with the other departments.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to have you come by, talk to me, fill out an application. Even if maybe you think you're nervous to fill out an application.
sure.
Oh, is this promised to somebody else? It's not. Please apply. We'd be so grateful to have a qualified candidate. And genuinely just stop by and say hi anytime.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you.
Well, we've had tremendous turnover, in the City Hall staff, and I think people need to know that. We've diversified significantly.
Yes.
And that's an important piece because your employees at City Hall, they need to be representative of your community.
Yes.
Right? All right, so we're 3 minutes now from the end of the program. I wanted to circle back to a topic I started with. Hopefully you've seen that the mayor has his mental faculties. In point of fact, they never left him. I am still struggling with the legs. I have a walker. It does not impede me from going where I need to go. Sometimes it will impede me from getting up from a chair. I don't want to be candid about that. But I'm working hard at physical therapy to address that so that I can, bounce up and get the strength in my legs and hips that I need to. I do have the strength in my arms, but quite frankly, some chairs are not designed for easy get up, and that's a difficult thing. So I'm going into City Hall every day and experiencing the access issues. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Well, and now that you said that, I do want to bring up a good point,
Sure.
which I think, everything comes with a silver lining.
Yep.
And the ADA coordinator actually works under my department. So I think your experience has helped her make a more accessible Methuen,
I appreciate
genuinely,
it.
because
Yeah.
I think that's the silver lining here
Yeah.
is that we've seen some limitations that we have and we've seen where we can be better. And we're
Yeah.
really working towards it.
Yeah.
But I will also attest that the faculties are there because we conversate daily, and I think sometimes the mayor's is much quicker than me, so
Yeah.
they're
Well,
there.
I like. I've talked to some of my friends. I talk about, when people talk to me and they say, "Okay, I'll take a look at that." It's like, the fast food line.
Yep.
It's like clipped on a line, and it comes around. I may forget for a day or two, but eventually I'm going to get back to you. Right?
Rotates up.
Yeah.
It's there.
So I want to thank you for being on the program and talking about your personal life and your professional life. We are thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here, and thank you so much for having me on the show today. It was an honor.
Well, you're a much needed boost for the city, and I say that candidly. So if you're out there and you're thinking about a job with the city, come on in and interview, because it's important. But I do want to go back, like I said, if you've got questions about, how I'm able to get around, please come to Coffee with the Mayor. These are not election events. These are constituent events that I was doing before I had my medical issues. And it's important for the mayor to get out into the community. And the first one is Friday from 10 to 12 at the best library in the state.
I haven't been. I might come.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
I have to see. I've heard that it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
we did the trash meetings, several of the trash meetings there. I was just blown away by the building and by the staff. So Krista McLeod, the staff, they do a fabulous job. So, even if you don't come to see the come to see the library. Get a card, check out a book.
Yeah, bookworm here. I'll be there.
There you go. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I look forward. We will be back on next week, and every week thereafter, unless something kind of pushes me off the schedule. But feel free at any of these citywide events to talk to the mayor. Come up and talk to the mayor, and you can see for yourself, what kind of physical condition I'm in, working on the legs, and what kind of mental condition I'm in. I'm here, right? And I'm very proud to say, we're ending FY23 in the black, and I am thrilled to be your mayor, right? I love this city, and I love what we're doing here, and I look forward to talking to you next time on the Mayor's. God bless.